why is Harry Styles catching a lot of heat all of a sudden? Well, it has something to do with what he said at the Grammys. Over the weekend, he won Album of the Year on his album called Harry's House, which was one of the 3 awards that he took home on that night. When he came up to the stage to accept his prize, he said, "I've been so inspired by every artist in this category with me, and at a lot of different times in my life. I listen to everyone in this category when I'm alone. I think on nights like tonight, it's obvious it's so important for us to remember that there's no such thing as best in music. I don't think any of us sit in the studio making decisions based on what is going to get us one of these. This is really kind. I'm so grateful. This doesn't happen to people like me very often, and this is so nice. Thank you very much." So which part of that speech rubbed viewers the wrong way? Can you guess? Well, it was the part where he said receiving an award doesn't often happen for people like him. And while it's not exactly clear what he meant by saying people like me, a lot of fans became critical of those comments. The speech sparked a big reaction online along with a series of viral tweets. One user wrote, "This doesn't happen to people like me very often. You are literally a white man." In response, another person wrote, "Like you're British and white. This happens to you all the time." Another user tweeted, "5 women in the Album of the Year category, 3 of them women of color, and the white cis male winner gets up and says, 'This doesn't happen to people like me very often.'" Someone else wrote, "Harry Styles says this doesn't happen to people like me very often. And I gotta be honest, I can't think of a type of people this happens for more." Although there were also those who defended his choice of words and argued that he was actually referring to the struggles that he went through during his childhood. Someone said, "Not everything is related to race. He was literally referring to growing up in a small town where most people don't get to live the life that he's got now. He was just being grateful." Harry's win came as a surprise to some people because both Beyonce and Bad Bunny were considered top contenders going into the night, not to mention Adele, who was also up for a possible repeat win. Now, there's no doubt that his 3rd studio album Harry's House was successful. It debuted at #1 on the Billboard charts and included his hit song As It Was, which stayed at #1 on the charts for 15 consecutive weeks. But a lot of the backlash surrounding his comments were actually about the fact that the Grammys have long been criticized for excluding people of color. In 2020, The Weeknd slammed the awards ceremony and called it corrupt after he received 0 nominations for his song Blinding Lights, despite the fact that it was clearly the year's biggest hit single. He told Variety, "The trust has been broken for so long between the Grammys organization and artists that it would be unwise to raise a victory flag. I remain uninterested in being a part of the Grammys, especially with their own admission of corruption for all these decades. I will not be submitting in the future." Since then, a growing number of prominent artists have declined to submit their work for consideration. Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak told Rolling Stone last year, "We would like to gracefully, humbly, and most importantly sexually bow out of submitting our album this year." Then in 2022, Drake also withdrew his name from the awards after the nominations were announced, despite having 4 nods as a featured artist or writer this time around. He claimed that the disconnect between the Grammy Awards and popular music was making the accolade insignificant. He said, "I think we should stop allowing ourselves to be shocked every year by the disconnect between impactful music and these awards, and just accept that what was once the highest form of recognition may no longer matter to the artists that exist now and the ones that come after." Drake also called out the Academy's questionable track record with hip-hop and artists of color, all during his acceptance speech in 2019. He said, "You've already won if you have people singing your songs word for word, if you're a hero in your own hometown. Look, if there's people who have regular jobs who are coming out in the rain, in the snow, spending their hard-earned money to buy tickets to come to your shows, you don't need this right here. I promise you, you already won." But obviously the Academy was not too happy with what he had to say, and they quickly decided to cut to commercial before he even finished speaking. But obviously some people believe that we should stop putting the Grammys on such a pedestal and viewing it as the highest musical accolade that artists can achieve. But Harry Styles was not the only artist to spark controversy during this year's Grammys. Sam Smith and Kim Petras delivered a satanic-themed performance, and it had a lot of conservative commentators in a panic. The 2 singers did a rendition of their hit song Unholy, and they really went all out with it. Sam started the song in red leather with a top hat and red devil horns, while being surrounded by female dancers in red robes that seemed like something out of The Ring. Kim was dancing in a cage, of course, and she was getting flanked by some dominatrices wearing satanic headgear. There were massive flames heating up the stage to evoke the image of hell. But what really got people angry was the fact that the performance was sponsored by Pfizer. After the ceremony, conservatives on Twitter reacted with horror because they believed it was an actual tribute to Satan. Senator Ted Cruz weighed in on the performance and said, "This is evil. Pfizer is taking the whole truth in advertising pretty literally." Newsmax's Benny Johnson said, "The Grammys have gone full on Satan worship right on Prime TV." Ben Shapiro also voiced his opinion and tweeted, "The Grammys' annual trolling of traditionally moral people continued this year with a full-on satanic performance from 2 white men, Sam Smith and Kim Petras. Human Events events editor Ben Q also believed that the whole thing was intended to pay tribute to the Lord of Darkness. He wrote, "I know we on the right probably use the word satanic too often, but this performance from Sam Smith is literally a tribute to Satan, definitely not a spiritual war." But apart from the obvious, there could have been another reason for that theme as well. When asked about their rendition backstage, Kim Petras said that it was inspired by not feeling accepted by religion. She said, "I think a lot of people honestly have kind of labeled what I stand for and what Sam stands for as religiously not cool. And I personally grew up wondering about religion and wanting to be a part of it, but slowly realizing it didn't want me to be a part of it." She went on to say that the song was about the fact that she was not able to choose religion and live the way that people wanted her to live. She explained that as a trans person, she doesn't feel like she is wanted in religion. This is something that she also spoke about during her acceptance speech when she and Sam won the Grammys for Best Pop Group Performance earlier in the evening. She said, "Sam graciously wanted me to accept this award because I'm the first transgender woman to win this award. I just want to thank all of the incredible transgender legends before me who kicked these doors open before me so I could be here tonight." As two queer musicians, the two of them have set a historical precedent for the LGBTQ community after reaching #1 on the Hot 100 chart for their collaboration. But ever since they came out as non-binary in 2019, Sam Smith has faced an intense amount of backlash, especially with the release of their new music video, "I'm Not Here to Make Friends." The video pushed a lot of boundaries by celebrating different body types, genders, and sexuality, but the pushback largely targeted Sam for being too sexual. The video starts with them wearing an enormous pink coat, arriving at a remote castle by helicopter. Once inside, dancers and drag queens surround them for a series of routines. One scene in particular that upset a lot of people shows Sam in a corset and nipple tassels, posing suggestively while being showered with jets of water. When the video released, it took YouTube by storm, and it flew to the top of the trending chart. It wasn't long before Sam was trending on Twitter too, with a lot of posts calling the video vulgar and saying that it was inappropriate for younger viewers. YouTube's restricted mode then actually blocked the video. Sadly, a lot of negative comments seemed to body shame the singer, and they came across as anti-LGBTQ. They accused Sam of being vile, evil, and wearing their sexuality like a costume and shoving it in everyone's face. There was also some pretty crazy memes created of them poking fun at their changing gender identity, one that showed the change in their appearance from the years 2014 to 2023. But it didn't take long for their fans to fight back. Many people pointed out that the risky outfits are normal in modern music videos, and the only reason Sam was being singled out was because of fat phobia and queer phobia. Writer Mae Murray summed it up in a tweet saying, "If Sam were thin, cis, and straight, they wouldn't be ridiculed for how they present and dress. If Harry Styles wore the same fits on a magazine cover, y'all would be screaming, 'Yes, queen.'" So what do you think about the singer's transformation over the years? Moving on, why does it seem like Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck are fighting all the time? It's become pretty obvious that their marital bliss isn't quite as it seems, because there's now repeated instances of them being caught arguing on camera. The first incident that occurred was shortly after Jennifer's Today interview, when the couple were filmed having what looked like a tense argument at the premiere for her new movie Shotgun Wedding. In a clip that quickly went viral on TikTok, JLo appears to taste Ben's drink and then looks at him sternly. She seems visibly fed up with her husband as he tries to defend himself and repeatedly says Jen. He could also be seen yelling over the music that he did not drink anything. It was theorized at the time that Ben is insisting that he hasn't been drinking alcohol and that she was tasting his drink to check in the video. Ben has been open about his recovery from alcoholism and the fact that he's been to rehab multiple times over the years, like in 2001, 2017, and 2018. That video has been viewed around 2 million times so far, but surprisingly, most people seem to think that Jennifer is being unsupportive of Ben's struggles. Someone wrote, "They just seem exhausting. This marriage will never see 18 months. Another person commented, "It just looks like she doesn't trust him. Picked up the drink to taste it. He's clearly upset." And things just seem awkward between the newlyweds when they were filmed at the Grammys on Sunday night. Someone posted a video on Twitter of the two of them sitting together and wrote, "However bad of a day you're having, I promise you it's not as miserable as Ben Affleck at the Grammys right now." It's true that whatever he was feeling at that ceremony, he simply looked miserable, like he would rather be anywhere else. Next to him, JLo was clapping happily and seemed a lot more focused on what was going on stage than how her partner was feeling. As expected, the comments under that video were pretty harsh. Someone wrote, "He could be home baking with Jennifer Garner, and instead he's looking around for the emergency exits for a quick getaway." Another person wrote, "The Grammys is worth watching right now if only for the cuts to Ben Affleck looking like an awkward dad who drew the short stick for taking his daughter and her friends to a concert of an artist that he's never heard of." In another awkward video from the event, the newlyweds were captured having an intense argument, but they seemed like they were trying to play it off for the cameras. In the clip, Ben can be seen leaning over to whisper something in Jennifer's ear, only for her to whip her head around and sternly say something to him. She then puts her hand on his chest and appears to tell him to sit up straight, and he immediately adjusts his posture. J-Lo looks annoyed and rolls her eyes before noticing that they are on camera. She then turns her attention to Trevor Noah, who's hosting the event, and she tries to laugh it off. But this wasn't enough to distract viewers from that awkward interaction. Now people are taking sides over who's causing all of these arguments. But whatever the case may be, it doesn't necessarily mean that anyone is to blame. Relationships are hard, and even though these two are newlyweds, they have a dating history that goes back 20 years. Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck have had an on-again, off-again romance that has been going on since the 2000s, with fans even nicknaming the couple Benifer. They first met on the set of Geely in early 2002, and they got engaged for the first time in November of that year. Despite planning to marry in a lavish ceremony in September of 2003, they ended up calling it off just days before the wedding, and said that the excessive media attention had taken a toll on their romance. They split up only 4 months later, but 2 decades after their first engagement, they finally tied the knot in July last year. J-Lo wrote about the wedding and said, "We did it. Love is beautiful, love is kind, and it turns out love is patient. 20 years patient. It was exactly what we wanted. Last night we flew to Vegas, stood in line for a license with 4 other couples, all making the same journey to the wedding capital of the world." She said that they barely made it to the little white wedding chapel before midnight, and they married in an intimate ceremony after they changed into their wedding outfits in the break room. Jennifer said, "So with the best witnesses you could ever imagine, a dress from an old movie and a jacket from Ben's closet, we read our own vows in the little chapel and gave one another the rings we'll wear for the rest of our lives. They even had Bluetooth for a march down the aisle. But in the end, it was the best possible wedding we could have imagined, one we dreamed of long ago and one we made real." So it seems like it really was meant to be, especially when they came back into each other's lives after so long. But at the moment, it seems like they've hit a bump in the road, and while we don't know exactly what goes on in their relationship, it could be a sign that they just need to take a step back away from the cameras and privately resolve their issues before we see another one of these awkward videos going around. And lastly, let's talk about the fact that Chris Brown threw a tantrum when he lost out to another artist at the Grammys. The 33-year-old singer was up for an award on Sunday in the Best R&B Album category, but he ended up losing to a pianist called Robert Glasper. So how did he take the news? Well, he completely flipped out and started trashing the winner, making fun of the fact that he's not very well known. Chris took to his Instagram stories and actually posted a picture of Robert Glasper. He wrote, "Y'all playing, who the F is this?" along with crying laughing emojis. But he did not stop there. In another post he wrote, "Who the F is Robert Glasper? I'ma keep kicking y'all A respectfully." And if that wasn't enough, Chris then made fun of the fact that Glasper is a classical musician. He wrote, "I gotta get my skills up, I'ma start playing the harmonica." He then posted a Photoshop picture of himself playing the harmonica with the caption, "New level unlocked, harmonica breezy." His rant was nothing short of embarrassing, considering the fact that he tried to bring another artist down because he couldn't accept the fact that he didn't win Best R&B Album. But ironically, Chris hasn't ever been very successful when it comes to winning Grammys. Despite getting 20 nominations throughout his career, he's only ever won once. That was back in 2012 for his album called Fame. Robert Glasper, on the other hand, has been nominated 11 times in 8 different categories, and he's won 5 Grammys. He's also written and produced for artists like Snoop Dogg, Mac Miller, Common, and many more. So clearly, Chris Brown was just bitter because he lost to someone with a whole lot more talent. Eventually though, he did seem to come to his senses, and he reached out to Glasper on Instagram. Chris wrote, "Congratulations, my brother. I would like to apologize if you took offense to my reaction at the Grammys. You were not the intended target, and I know I came off really rude and mean. After doing my research, I actually think you're amazing." He then goes on to say that he thinks the Grammys did them both dirty and that they should have never been competing in the same category in the first place, because they have 2 totally different vibes and genres. Chris finished off the message by congratulating him again and said, "I hope you're able to feed your family for life." But all of this backpedaling doesn't take away from the fact that he had a straight up tantrum just because he lost. Once he looked up all of Glasper's achievements, he obviously realized that he was in the wrong. Once the apology was posted online, many people took to Twitter to call him out for his horrible behavior. One user tweeted, "You were not the intended target," says the guy who posted images of the person in question. Genius stuff here. Another person wrote, "It's still a backhanded compliment, because he's trying to say he would have won had they not been in the same category." Someone else wrote, "This is how a narcissist apologizes 101. He didn't take responsibility for the way he impulsively responded, attempted to trauma bond, and then blamed his hate on someone else." For his part, Glasper responded to the attack on his own social media, and luckily he didn't seem to take take the slander to heart. He wrote, "It's been brought to my attention that y'all have questions about who the F Robert Glasper is. If y'all have questions, I have answers. Check out my stories to play along." So hopefully both artists are able to move on from this drama, especially since Chris realized he was the one in the wrong. Number 10, Madonna's jokes bombing. The singer awkwardly had to ask the audience to cheer for her during her speech at the Grammys, where she addressed the remarks that the media have made about her recent antics. The 64-year-old started off by saying, "Here's what I learned after 4 decades in music. If they call you shocking, scandalous, troublesome, problematic, provocative, or dangerous, you're definitely onto something." Now that line seemed like she was leading into something, but when no one reacted at all, she quickly added, "That's where you make noise," which prompted an applause. No one was really sure if that was supposed to be funny or deep and inspiring, but the fact that Madonna had to scold the audience was hilarious in itself. But what really stood out more than her words was actually her appearance, and it sparked a sea of reactions on Twitter. Some people genuinely couldn't even recognize Madonna as she stood in front of them with noticeably bigger lips, braids, a tight black suit, and fishnet gloves. Someone tweeted a video of Adele with the caption, "Me attempting to ignore the fact that Madonna has a whole new face." Another user wrote, "What the hell happened to Madonna's face?" and "Madonna scares me." Number 9, Chris Brown raging. When the singer lost out to Robert Glasper for Best R&B Album, he also lost his temper. In fact, he completely lost it. Chris took to his Instagram stories where he voiced his frustration at losing. He posted a picture of Robert Glasper and wrote, "Y'all playing, who the F is this?" along with crying laughing emojis. But he did not stop there, he continued to diss the artist. In another post he wrote, "Who the F is Robert Glasper? I'ma keep kicking y'all A respectfully." If that wasn't enough, Chris then made fun of the fact that the winner was a classical musician, a pianist. He wrote, "I gotta get my skills up, I'ma start playing the harmonica." He then posted a Photoshop picture of himself playing the harmonica with the caption, "New level unlocked, harmonica breezy." But ironically, Chris hasn't been very successful when it comes to the Grammys at all. Despite 20 nominations throughout his career, he's only ever won 1 time. Robert Glasper, on the other hand, has been nominated 11 times in 8 different categories, and he's won 5 Grammys. He's also written and produced for artists like Snoop Dogg, Mac Miller, Common, and many more. So clearly, Chris Brown was just bitter because he lost to someone with a whole lot of talent. Number 8, Ben Affleck and J-Lo fighting. Now this is awkward. Someone posted a video of Ben and J-Lo sitting together and wrote, "However bad of a day you're having, I promise you're not as miserable as Ben Affleck at the Grammys right now." It's true that whatever he was feeling at that ceremony, he simply looked miserable and looked like he would rather be anywhere else. Next to him, J-Lo was clapping happily and looked a lot more focused on what was going on stage than how her partner was feeling. As expected, the comments under that video were pretty brutal. Someone wrote, "He could be home baking with Jennifer Garner," and instead he's looking around for the emergency exits for a quick getaway. In another awkward video from the event, the newlyweds were captured having an intense argument, but they seemed like they were trying to play it off for the cameras. In the clip, Ben can be seen leaning over to whisper something in Jennifer's ear, only for her to whip her head around and sternly say something to him. She then puts her hand to his chest and looks like she tells him to sit up straight, because he then immediately adjusts his posture. J-Lo rolls her eyes and looks down at the floor before noticing that they are on camera. She then turns her attention to Trevor Noah and tries to laugh it off. Number 7, Doja's awkward reaction. Another hilarious moment from the awards ceremony was Doja's reaction after Sam Smith and Kim Petras won the Grammy for their song Unholy, and it's been cracking up Twitter users because of her expression. A clip was captured of the singer just staring blankly at the two of them while sipping her drink. Not only was she not clapping for them, but Doja's stare spoke 1,000 words, although fans have since speculated that it was more to do with Kim Petras than Sam Smith. So if you think that Doja was just being petty for not winning, think again, because it seems like there's much more to the story here. As we all know, Kim Petras continued to work with Dr. Luke, a producer whose disturbing allegations are well known throughout the industry. Doja also worked with Luke, and many people believe that she was mistreated by him. When she tried to speak out about it, Kim Petras basically tried to shut down those allegations. In 2021, Doja said, "I don't think I need to work with him again. I know that, and I think it was definitely nice of me to work with him." Number 6, Miles Frost shading Harry Styles. The Broadway actor from MJ the Musical was presenting at the Grammys, and pretty soon a hilarious clip of him went viral that makes it pretty obvious that he doesn't really care for Harry Styles. When Miles read out the name Beyonce, he yelled it in excitement, and he did the same when he saw Lizzo's name. But when he opens the card and it says Harry Styles, his reaction is noticeably different. His energy completely changes and he speaks Harry's name as more of a formality. The clip has already gone viral on social media, and most people are agreeing with him. Someone wrote, "He's so real for this," and you could tell he didn't want him to win that Grammy. But Harry also caught a bit of heat for his acceptance speech, where he said, "This doesn't happen to people like me very often. This is so nice." And that really really seemed to rub people the wrong way. The speech sparked a big reaction online and a series of viral tweets. One user wrote, "This doesn't happen to people like me very often. You are literally a white man." And 5 women in the Album of the Year category, 3 of them women of color, and the white cis male winner gets up and says, "This doesn't happen to people like me very often." Number 5, Randy Rainbow saying Valhalla. Award shows haven't always gone smoothly when it comes to announcing the winners of a particular category, and this year's Grammys is no different. While Trevor Noah hosted the main ceremony, the premiere event was hosted by Randy Rainbow, an American comedian who is best known for his parody music videos on YouTube. And when it comes to announcing the winner in the Best Score soundtrack for video games and other interactive media, he got himself into a bit of a difficulty. Randy had to pronounce the new release from the Assassin's Creed franchise, but he really tripped up on the word Valhalla. Stumbling over his words, he said, "And the Grammy goes to Assassin's Creed Valhalla." And just like that, a new meme from the ceremony was born, and it seemed like everyone was joking about Randy's take on the name. Someone posted a meme of Jesse Nelson struggling to put on an accent with the caption Assassin's Creed. Another person wrote, "Dude almost said falafel." In fact, many people were comparing that moment to when John Travolta butchered Idina Menzel's name at the Oscars. He said, "Please welcome the wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazeem." It was extremely funny to say the least. Number 4, Trevor Noah's jokes. For a 3rd consecutive year as the Grammys host, the comedian once again brought with him a fair share of cringy dad jokes. He launched into his monologue and basically played it safe with the people that he called out. He called out Bad Bunny's performance and said, "That album is so fire, it makes Trump want to learn Spanish." Now that's just an example of the kind of jokes that he brought to the stage. In another one he said, "Beyonce is nominated for her album Renaissance, which by the way is better than anything from the actual Renaissance in my opinion. The Renaissance was just pictures of grapes and stuff. Beyonce took it up to another level." There was also another joke that left viewers questioning where the punchline was. Noah went up to Taylor Swift and asked her if she can bring down the cost of eggs. It was a pretty confusing moment and no one was really sure how to react. One person tweeted, "I know this is a lighthearted joke, but it felt like Trevor Noah was making a lot of jokes that sounded like they came straight from a local Facebook page last night. Why are you, as an extremely famous man, joking about the price of eggs?" Number 3, Bad Bunny captions. The international hip-hop star opened the 2023 Grammys ceremony with a performance of songs from his latest album, but some viewers at home were hung up on the telecast. Instead of the traditional closed captions, the captions that CBS provided for Bad Bunny read "singing in non-English" as he performed in Spanish, which was absolutely ridiculous. Later, when Bad Bunny took to the stage to give an acceptance speech that was partially in English and partially in Spanish, the captions read "speaking non-English." Other English-speaking artists highlighted at the Grammys were given standard closed captions on the telecast, so viewers were outraged about the unprofessionalism from the awards. One person wrote, "As a Puerto Rican, Latina, and Spanish speaker, putting singing in non-English while Bad Bunny, one of the most popular artists in the world, sings in Spanish in a country with millions of Spanish speakers is ignorant and insulting. Do better, CBS." But many fans also loved Bad Bunny's performance and were just so happy with his part of the ceremony. Another user wrote, "Even though Bad Bunny didn't win, his nomination was the first all non-English album to be nominated for Album of the Year in Grammy history. His nomination opened up so many doors for artists who make music in another language. You'll get it next time, father." Number 2, Beyonce stuck in traffic. When Trevor Noah delivered his cheesy opening remarks and joked about all the stars in the room, Beyonce was nowhere to be found. The singer actually missed her first win of the night at the 2023 Grammys because she was stuck in a traffic jam outside the arena. After she won the award for Best R&B Song, Tyrius Nash and Nile Rodgers rushed up to the stage to accept the award on her behalf. That was her 3rd of 4 awards on the night and she still wasn't in her seat. At one point, Noah blamed Los Angeles traffic as the reason that she wasn't there. He said, "So for real, Beyonce is on her way. The upside of hosting the Grammys in LA is that everyone can be here. The downside of hosting the Grammys in LA is the traffic." When he eventually did find Beyonce at her table, he brought the trophy right to her and she thanked him and nodded politely. By the time she did step up to the microphone for a proper acceptance speech, she had actually already posted to Instagram about her Grammy wins before she even showed up to the event. Prior to the main show, the singer took home trophies for Best Dance/Electronic Recording and Best Traditional R&B Performance. She was actually nominated for 9 awards in total. And coming in at number 1, Harry Styles Tripping. The singer took to the Grammy stage to perform his hit song As It Was, but he almost fell on his face. Harry dressed up in a sparkly silver jumpsuit and he was passionately belting out the words, "In this world, it's just us," as he tried to step down from the platform onto the main stage. But as he strode confidently across the platform, there was a brief moment where he lost his balance and almost fell, so he had to throw his arm up to catch himself. Luckily, he did get his balance back and went straight to the microphone to finish the song. But this moment was obviously watched by hundreds of thousands of people at home, not to mention all the celebrities in the audience. Not only that, but many viewers noted that Harry's energy seemed to be unusually low throughout his performance. He seemed to be either very sluggish or unenthusiastic, and a lot of fans took notice. But it could have also been down to technical issues backstage. In fact, several singers seemed to be having issue with their in-ear monitors, and Harry had to visibly adjust his a few times. Someone tweeted, "The Grammys tech is giving middle school play and community theater sound engineer."
Number 10, we have Taylor Swift. Although not failing to win Grammys throughout the night for All Too Well, the short film, which she starred in with Sadie Sink and Dylan O'Brien, a few fans sparked disappointment at not seeing Swift's Red album, Taylor's version, as one of the nominees. Rolling Stones quotes the album, especially All Too Well, the song, as her own masterpiece, tears it all up, breaks it like a promise, shreds her tapestry, and rebuilds it into a new heartbreak epic, twice as long and twice as mad, with new recordings of 16 songs that first appeared on Swift's 2012 album Red. That was in fact nominated in 2 categories 9 years ago. Was this version a bit too similar? Many Swifties would disagree, standing by Taylor's version and its eligibility for the 2023 Grammys. With the success of All Too Well 10-minute version, fans expected to see Taylor's re-recorded Red get a shot at Album of the Year, with a few taking to Twitter to say, "I hope that justice will be done for Red, and I hope Red finally gets the recognition it deserves." Even with this being her 10th #1 album, despite eligibility, albums are required to have enough original material to be considered. Under general guidelines for albums, it says updated, revised, or expanded versions of previous albums will not be eligible. Number 9, BTS. Despite receiving several nominations for the 3rd year in a row, the band decided they would not be attending the Grammys this year. The band is currently on a hiatus as the boys take on solo pursuits, planning on coming back full force in 2025. The decision to not attend the Grammys this year doesn't shock many, with the entertainment company saying, with the release of their album earlier this year, it opened the path to allow the members to take some time to explore individual paths. Fans who call themselves ARMY haven't been quiet about their outrage on the band's behalf, as yet again the band failed to win Best Music Video or even receive any nominations for their collab with Coldplay, My Universe. ARMY has taken to social media to call the award show the Scammies, with a few believing Western culture doesn't understand the impact of the band itself. One fan wrote, referring to the song, "You Need Me, I Don't Need You. The Grammys just don't understand YTC and its impact. They will never understand BTS like we do." Others expressed how they deserve to win on the stars' Twitters. BTS commented back calmly to their ARMY by saying, "There are so many blessings we could have gotten these 8 years. So please don't forget that whether we got the Grammys or we didn't, we got what we wanted." Fans shows lots of love for the humbleness of BTS, while still expressing concern for the Grammys themselves and their voting methods. Number 8, Doja Cat. Despite being nominated in 5 major categories, the rapper didn't end up going home with a Grammy, with her song Woman being nominated for Record of the Year, Best Solo Performance, and Best Music Video, as well as being nominated for Best Rap Performance for her song Vegas from the movie Elvis. She sadly didn't make the cut. Even with her large online following, it seemed it just didn't translate in this year's Grammy Awards. She took her loss with grace, as did her fans, with many expressing their love over Twitter, with celebrity hairstylist Jay Stay posting a video of Doja on his Instagram story after the Grammys. The star seemed visibly tired. This left fans concerned, fearing she was mourning her loss at the award show. Some were saying she looks so sad and I hope they're just tired and not too upset. Jay Stay made sure to soothe minds, writing on Twitter, "Nobody's sad, we're all just exhausted. It was a great fun day and we're all so blessed to live these moments." We may see new categories arriving for Doja as she spoke to Variety saying, "I feel like we have enough pop punk artists right now. If there needs to be more, then let there be more. I don't think I'm the one to do it. I want to explore a new, raw, unfiltered, hardcore punk sort of thing." Number 7, Blackpink. Being the first Korean pop girl group to top the US Billboard 200, fans were left disappointed after nominations were announced and Blackpink was nowhere to be seen. Not being able to make it for the 2022 Grammys as their album unfortunately did not match the criteria, having an album album released past the deadline, holding an extensive list of history-making accomplishments, including having the most viewed video by a K-pop group, being the first female K-pop stars on a Billboard cover, and being the most subscribed artist on YouTube in 2021. It was a shock when they went home with nothing this year. With the band's release of their new album, Born Pink, which in September became the first K-pop group to top Billboard 200, many thought to see it on this year's best album, or at least a nod in their direction. The band also came out with a single, Pink Venom, which broke records. The song got to #1 on Spotify's global top charts and gained 7.9 million streams in just 24 hours. With all that, it just seems it wasn't in the stars this year. Number 6, Beyonce. Making history yet again by winning her 32nd award, which is more than any other artist, topped with her 88 nominations. Known for being the most nominated while also being the most snubbed. Even while winning the most awards in history, she was yet again left out of major categories, losing in Song of the Year, Record of the Year, and Album of the Year, making this the 15th time she's been denied one of these major categories. This also marks the 4th time nominated for Album of the Year and the 4th loss, losing with remarkable albums such as I Am Sasha Fierce 2008, Beyonce 2013, Lemonade 2016, and finally Renaissance, which came out last year. Renaissance is the 7th studio album the star has come out with, as well as the 7th to hit #1 in Billboard 200, making her the first female artist to have all 7 albums hit the top spot. Journalist Ernest Owens tweets from the Grammys, "Beyonce was robbed. This is so underwhelming. People are leaving by the masses." He goes on to tweet photos of empty seats during the final performance when Beyonce was not an announced winner yet again. Billboard went on to tweet, "Beyonce's 4th loss in 4 tries in the Album of the Year category overshadows the Grammys." Although many were excited for Harry Styles' big win for Album of the Year, it still made everyone confused as to what Beyonce has to do to win. While most were watching to see Harry's speech, others were left distracted by the camera that panned over to Adele, who seemed to not clap for the star's win. Adele, who won Album of the Year in 2017, beating out Beyonce's album Lemonade, said in her acceptance speech, "I can't possibly accept this award. I'm very humbled, but my artist of my life is Beyonce." She, along with so many others, definitely thought this award should have been to Queen Bee herself. Not only that, but fans have been reported to be heckling throughout Harry Styles' acceptance speech. They were yelling, "Beyonce should have won," all throughout the crowd. Many other social media users sparked outrage, planning to boycott the Grammys to stand by Beyonce. Coming in at number 5, Megan Thee Stallion. The rapper had a streak of successful years, even winning Best New Artist at the 2022 Grammys, making her a 3-time Grammy Award winner. The star, who released her studio album, Traumazine, which got her to top 5 on Billboard's top R&B and hip-hop charts, as well as her 2 top hits, Sweetie Pie with Dua Lipa and Plan B. Fans were shocked to see she was left out with any nomination at all. Taking to Twitter, fans wrote, "Where is Megan Thee Stallion? And are you serious right now? Plan B is the best song of the year." Yet another Grammy mystery as to why she was left out completely this year. Number 4, Nicki Minaj. 2023 was supposed to be the year of making a huge comeback for the star. Coming out with the hit song Super Freaky Girl, many thought it'd be up for the rap category this year. But despite its 8-week-long run on the top of the Billboard's rap songs, the Academy removed the song from rap and instead sent Nicki to compete in the pop category, deeming the song too pop in October. Nicki immediately took to Twitter to explain to fans just how upsetting this was, that her music was being judged differently than those in the same genre. She tweeted, "I have no problem being moved out of the rap category, as long as we're all being treated fairly. If Super Freaky Girl has to be moved out of rap, then so does Big Energy. Anyone who says different is simply a Nicki hater or a troll." Nicki pokes at Latto's song Big Energy as having to be classified as pop also. Nicki's armies of fans, who are called the Barbs, also expressed outrage for the song, forcing Nicki to tweet, "Barbs, there's no need to be angry. This is simply an open, healthy dialogue. Independent thinking is what makes us all human." Latto responded without calling out Nicki entirely, saying, "I can't win for losing. All these awards and nominations and I can't even celebrate." Minaj returned with heat, slamming Latto for not standing up in her battle against the Grammys. The feud went on publicly over social media until the two discussed the rest in private DMs, but in the end, the star was left without a nomination, leaving her fans super confused and many more calling the Grammys the scammies yet again. At number 3, DJ Khaled. Showing up with his family in tow, he really showed that he is the epitome of positivity. While the megastar did receive 6 nominations with 3 nods in his direction, God did. and snagging a nomination for Best Rap Album, as well as Best Album of the Year. It didn't seem to be enough. Earlier this year, we saw Khalid rise to the top with #1 on Billboard 200, giving him his 3rd chart topper. Missing out this year didn't get Khalid down though. Closing the show with a star-studded group, Khalid performed God Did with Jay-Z, hitting the stage for the first time in 9 years, alongside Lil Wayne, John Legend, Rick Ross, and Friday. Khalid also is quoted saying, "I am living proof that dreams come true." Next up at #2, Elton John. 5-time Grammy winner, and after being nominated 35 times, fans believed he definitely had a shot this year. After releasing the Lockdown Sessions in 2021, with many notable stars such as Stevie Wonder, Charlie Puth, Dua Lipa, and many more, fans were disappointed to see Elton get no nominations at all. Even with his strong attempt to bring Britney Spears back into the spotlight for the first time in 13 years with the song Hold Me Closer, which ranked 11.1 million streams and 6 on Billboard's Top 100, it wasn't enough. With the iconic singer coming back after such a long time to do this revised version of Tiny Dancer collab, many expected a little bit more recognition for Elton. Coming in at #1, we have Demi Lovato, actor, singer, mental health advocate. She has had so many fans rooting for her this year for the Grammys. After going on tour from August to November 2022 to showcase her new music and style, fans were sure to see her up nominated for either pop or rock. Going back to her roots with her pop punk album and emo hits, fans were excited to see a side of Demi they hadn't seen in a while. Fans were waiting and ready for her submissions to the Academy, saying, "It's time to finally honor Demi for constant quality music." Lovato was said to have been competing for Best Rock Song with Skin of My Teeth, as well as Best Rock Performance with 29. A song the singer said really put things in perspective for her, quoting, "I'm very careful with the way that I answer these questions, because I feel like the song says it all, but turning 29 was a huge eye-opener for me. Even with her rock album being so highly anticipated, it unfortunately didn't receive a single nomination this year." Fans kept hope in believing she'd get nominated for at least the pop category, but in the end were left disappointed.
It looks like some of the music industry's biggest names have been nominated for the 2023 Grammy Awards. It's very clear that Beyonce led the pack this year and managed to score 9 nominations, 8 of which are for her album Renaissance. Now she's tied with her husband Jay-Z for the most nominations received by any one artist. Kendrick Lamar also followed closely behind and received 8 nominations, and Adele received 7. This year's Grammys will introduce 5 new categories, including Songwriter of the Year, which aims to recognize someone who was the most prolific, non-performing, and non-producing songwriter for a body of new work. There will also be a special merit award for the best song for social change, to recognize music with lyrics that address a timely social issue or vulnerable community and promotes awareness, raises consciousness, and builds empathy. So let's break down the nominations. Aside from Beyonce and Adele, this year's other nominees for Album of the Year include Kendrick Lamar, Harry Styles, Lizzo, Brandi Carlile, Mary J. Blige, Coldplay, Bad Bunny, and ABBA, who put out their first new album in 40 years called Voyage. For Record of the Year, it looks like Beyonce's Break My Soul and Adele's Easy on Me will be competing against Harry Styles' As It Was, Lizzo's About Damn Time, Doja Cat's Woman, Kendrick's The Heart Part 5, and there will also be Brandi Carlile's You and Me on the Rock, ABBA's Don't Shut Me Down, Mary J. Blige's Good Morning Gorgeous, and Bad Habit, which is a breakout hit by the 24-year-old singer and guitarist Steve Lacy. Break My Soul, Easy on Me, As It Was, About Damn Time, Bad Habit, and The Heart Part 5 are also up for Song of the Year, along with Gail's ABCDEFU, Bonnie Wright's Just Like That, DJ Khaled's God Did, and Taylor Swift's All Too Well, which is a track that originally appeared on her 2012 album Red, which she re-released as a fresh recording last year. While it's true that the Grammys generally disqualify old songs, All Too Well was allowed in because it contained more than 50% new material, which is apparently one of the Academy's rules. But interestingly enough, we are starting to see a growing number of prominent artists that decline to submit their work for consideration. Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak told Rolling Stone last month, "We would like to gracefully, humbly, and most importantly sexually bow out of submitting our album this year." And how can you forget what The Weeknd said in 2020 when he slammed the Grammys and called them corrupt after he received 0 nominations for his song Blinding Lights, despite the fact that it was clearly 2020's biggest hit single. He told Variety, "The trust has been broken for so long between the Grammy organization and artists. hosts that it would be unwise to raise a victory flag. I remain uninterested in being a part of the Grammys, especially with their own admission of corruption for all these decades. I will not be submitting in the future. And it looks like he kept to his promise. Drake also withdrew his name from the 2022 awards after the nominations were announced, despite having 4 nods as a featured artist or writer this time around. He claimed that the disconnect between the Grammy Awards and popular music was making the accolade insignificant. In 2020, he said, "I think we should stop allowing ourselves to be shocked every year by the disconnect between impactful music and these awards, and just accept that what once was the highest form of recognition may no longer matter to the artists that exist now, and the ones that come after." He also called out the Academy's questionable track record with hip-hop and artists of color in 2019 during his actual acceptance speech. Drake said, "You've already won if you have the people singing your songs word for word, if you're a hero in your hometown. Look, if there's people who have regular jobs who are coming out in the rain, in the snow, spending their hard-earned money to buy tickets to come to your shows, you don't need this right here. I promise you, you've already won." But obviously the Academy was not too happy with what he had to say, and they quickly decided to cut to commercial before he even finished speaking. In an effort to restore their reputation, the Grammys have gone through a lot of changes over the last few years, and most of it is a direct response to all the criticism they've been getting. It seems like the people are not only angry that the awards are consistently failing artists of color, but the fact that the actual nominating procedure is sketchy as hell because it allows insider manipulation. These major changes include the ballot for the top categories expanded from 5 slots to 8, and then from 8 to 10. Last year, they also eliminated most of the nominating committees, who were supposed to be anonymous groups of experts, whose job it was to whittle down the choices of voting members to decide which artists made the cut in dozens of categories. But despite the Grammys' attempts to improve how decisions are made and get with the times, we're still seeing more and more artists rejecting the accolades than ever before. So what do you think? Are the Grammys still relevant? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video.